Mizkif, stop texting my phone. You are blocked, bitch ass nigga. Don't ever come at me like that ever a day in your fucking life.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Emiru is back, safe and sound at home, of course, and released an hour-and-a-half long video describing the details that have been affecting her the past couple of years, and of course, the two big events that happened at TwitchCon, one of which we already know and is very well publicly documented. Of course, the sexual assault of Emiru at TwitchCon and the TwitchCon security and staff being nowhere to be seen, and of course, behind the scenes, we found out it was much worse than just that. Getting through multiple layers of security, Twitch responding, dropping the ball on their own response, and then later coming out with a public apology. We're not here to talk about that here today, but there is a video linked in the description that does go into depth in that and details it a little bit further. It's mostly just commentary there. Of course, most of the details are pretty generic. We already know that. Before getting into the details of what we're talking about today, we're talking about Mizkif and Emiru. Of course, you may already know, but I'm here to detail because I went through the full video. I would like to ask you to go ahead in the comments and let me know what I can do to improve on the content. Like if you like it, dislike it, subscribe to stick around, highly recommended, trying to get the channel to grow. Now back to Emiru, now that she's safe and sound, responding to the situations been going on behind the scenes. Mizkif decided he was going to show up and alert Twitch staff to what he has planned and in store, and honestly the way it was described is pretty nefarious, and the fact that it wasn't immediately red flagged I think is a total ball drop. Again, I don't know how Twitch can keep taking these fucking L's, but I guess they don't just give a shit. Basically came up to an employee and said, hey, if Emiru ever comes after me, I'm gonna fucking destroy her. While, of course, frantically trying to get in contact with Emiru, and of course, Emiru has officially have to say something about this.
He did. He would try to create a smear campaign against me in retaliation. I was told that he even approached other streamers who were close with us back when we lived together, asking them if they would join with him, and they all refused. At TwitchCon, he approached one of my employees, threatening them and saying if I ever talked about him, he would destroy me. Told me that his plan was to claim that I kill animals and that I killed my own rabbits, since I had several of my rabbits pass away over the course of 3 years while I lived with him. I'm sure he's probably listening now, and it's probably going to come as quite a shock to him that this information made its way back to me and that I've known for months.
You're probably scratching your head like, whoa, what the fuck? Pump the brakes here. What do you mean, animal abuse? Someone's reputation get ruined? Or this is out of left field for him. What's going on here? So, of course, you've already picked up that there's some paranoia-esque traits going on. And, of course, this isn't just backed up by nothing. There is screenshots to back up that he's just been trying to contact her as much as possible, and she's been trying to distance herself. Essentially providing that the relationship that they had, of course, gone toxic, and he now is trying to cover up as much as he possibly can, of course giving the idea of paranoia and just trying to reach out to anyone who can to get him on his side. Similar to what Hassan was doing with his dog and everything and freaking out and crashing out, only this one of course is a little bit more emotionally manipulative. Now the claim with the rabbits, there is some validity to that. I'm just going to give it straight up. There is plenty of clips going around online on Reddit. I don't know if I can show them, but it's basically the rabbits, a shitload of them in cages with feces and everything, and there's not really much cleaning going on. That's the primary claim of neglect going around, and other than that, I don't have any other proof. I'm not there. You know, that's the clips going around. I'm just going to be upfront. That's what's going around. I don't know if I could show it on YouTube because YouTube might censor it. Someone could flag the video. I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible with these kind of scenarios. Anything could happen, and I would rather keep the channel clean. Next question you probably already have is, why is Emiru just now talking about this? And of course, it's one of those things that just kind of like boil and bubble up. As she already addressed, I won't show the full, of course, hour-long thing. She goes into detail why she's talking about it now. She goes that she has a rule set for herself that if anything happens behind the scenes, it should stay behind the scenes, but she would say something if someone's getting hurt in the process. And of course, with their relationship dynamic, she describes it as very codependent, that she was very dependent on Mizkif. And of course, with things turning sour and with his personality traits, things didn't work out, and she didn't feel that she could continue to rely on him, nor that, of course, it was a healthy dynamic to begin with, and many other issues. Public information, she moves in with Mizkif the end of 2021, as Mizkif offered her a safe space due to her having stalker issues and everything. Of course, a community being very protective of her, being nearby, plenty of support, etc., etc. They, of course, started dating, and she joined OTK. They kept things as private as possible, but of course, many people figured it out and they pieced it together the way they interacted on streams. And of course, leaks happen every now and then. That's just the way the world is. She's claiming that the relationship was very codependent. Of course, you can pick up what's going on there. She comes to him for safety, and that was pretty much what her foundation was, that she came to him for safety, she came to him for career moves, everything. She was relying on him for pretty much everything. And as a result, she started to realize that Mizkif was pretty controlling in a couple of different ways, including what she wore, who she was friends with, what kind of content she put out, even when she streamed. And this is even backed up by Mizkif himself, and he pretty much goes into detail at the end of the video, basically saying, like, yeah, I did that. I was in a rough spot, like a fucking classic YouTube apology video.
Charged to being controlling. I told her many things. I told her to dress older, to stop wearing pajamas, to stop talking about stalkers and schizos as a whole. Stop talking about past relationships, and yes, I didn't want her to travel without me. I also said that I didn't want her to hang out with specific people. This is because I didn't want her to get hurt. I didn't want Emmy to get assaulted. I didn't want some man to do something to her when I'm not there, and I wanted to keep her safe. And I know with how my mental was and who I was back then that I didn't do everything right. I know I could have done better, and I'm sorry. I know I was controlling, and I should have just ended the fucking relationship, but I was so confused as a person. And I'm sorry I did it. I'm sorry things got to this fucking point, man.
It was at this point in the story she was believing that she was starting to see a different side of him, that nice personality of wanting to uplift people and be there and be a strong foundation for others, being nice to women in general, was starting to slowly fade, and things became a little bit more violent, as she puts it. At one instance, throwing things, even his phone, giving her a black eye at one point, putting holes in the walls, breaking furniture, throwing chairs. And at this point, she was believing that he was essentially testing her boundaries, with things escalating from 2022 going 2023. She, of course, wanted to continue backing him regardless of the situation, and the situation from 2022 into 2023 was a cover-up of SA. The alleged cover-up was streamer Adriana Lee, alleging that her housemate, streamer Crazy Slick, essayed or assaulted her at a 2020 party, touching her body after she had passed out. It was then later claimed that Mizkif and another streamer pressured Adriana Lee into using more mild wording from harassment rather than sexual assault, delaying the public statement, of course. She wanted to, of course, continue helping Mizkif, supporting him, etc. That's her significant other, and basically rationalize this behavior as increased stress due to the situation. Now, at this time, we were seeing behaviors exhibited and speculated to be jealousy, essentially, that other people were seeing higher viewer counts during rush streams with rush drops, etc., etc. At one point, getting to the point where he broke a door, slamming it multiple times so that way she could hear him. The stream, of course, picking up on this, asking what's going on. She goes to check up on him, and he crashes out on her. Other behaviors that Emiru described, such as putting him and her life in danger in a vehicle after finding out collabs didn't work out for him, shit like that.
Like, one of the times that it happened, it was because we were just getting food, and he was on his phone, and he saw that Mr. Beast had put out a video, and Mr. Beast had invited another streamer, and he was like, oh, Mr. Beast invited this guy to his video, not me. And I was like,
the vehicle reaching 150 miles an hour, allegedly. Just other irrational behaviors, such as arguing over the rush drops, like I said, getting jealous over the viewer counts, and then behind closed doors arguing when she can and can't stream, given the rush Twitch drops. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play the videos of her discussing these screenshots and showing them off. At one point, one of the apologies that he had wrote was found to be overwhelmingly written by ChatGPT, according to another AI. Those things can always be wrong, but it's like some South Park shit, dude. I can't fucking imagine it. And you'll notice in some of the screenshots, I'll link Emiru's video. Go check that out so you can get the full context of what's going on. If you felt that I had missed some important details, I feel like I've covered everything in pretty well depth. I didn't go into every single facet. I just wanted to cover the core of it. But of course, some of the details you'll see here, they're arguing over WoW. Like, he gets into an emotional argument with Emiru over World of Warcraft. I'm not shitting you.
the people saying you're better in every chat, the comparisons says nobody will ever be on my side. Let me deal with it. You have fun. I asked you not to become a tank. You didn't listen. And now it's the classic, what was I supposed to do? I'm not dealing with this. And like I said, you can go find the stream. But for context, I was playing Warrior in World of Warcraft and like because doesn't really matter, but I ran it through a ChatGPT checker and all the highlights. Like I said, doesn't really matter. I just thought it was interesting. But,
Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you for watching all the way through. This situation is fucking he said, she said for the most part. I don't want to say every bit of what every person is saying is true, but there's evidence on both sides. And I gotta be honest, Mizkif just seems like a very emotionally unstable individual. More and more clips are coming out about him. I hope he gets the fucking help that he needs, because he just can't continue to treat other people like this. Of course, we've seen it time and time again with other content creators in which they say they change and nothing happens, and there have been some positive in others. You know, it is what it is. If you like it, dislike it, dislike it. Let me know what I can do in the comments to improve on the content, what you'd like to see. Thank you for sticking all the way around, and if you're already here, you might as well hit the subscribe button. Take it easy.